Good afternoon, Central Arkansas. Thanks for joining us today at noon. I'm Hoyt. Michael Aaron has the day off. Here are some of the stories we are bringing you at this noon hour. California considering capping the work week at just 4 days. We take a look at how one company is implementing that policy and how it's worked for others. And the Supreme Court hears arguments on a case that connects public prayers and high school football. We explore the heated debates surrounding that coming up in just 6 minutes. Plus, Garth Brooks making a pit stop in the natural state this weekend, and the field at Razorback Stadium needs some repairs after the big night. How the country star is getting involved in the cleanup. That is straight ahead, but we've got those stories coming up, but it's a Karen Carpenter kind of morning, Nathan Scott. It's rainy days and Mondays. What do we got for the rest of this Monday?
Well, the rain has been slowly moving out of the region. Rolly, you can see it here on the radar. Most of the rain now situated to the south and east of the metro, and it will slowly creep its way off to the east through the course of the afternoon, but nothing really on the heavy side. Primarily, it's just a steady light rain taking place in Hampton, Monticello, Star City, Dumas, DeWitt, Stuttgart, and this will all slowly exit off to the east through the course of the afternoon. Temperatures out there much cooler than what we saw this time yesterday when we were warming up to the 80s. We're at 61 in Little Rock, 64 in Russellville, and there are some clearing areas in northwest Arkansas. So the farther west that you live, you'll see more sun. The farther east that you live from the metro, you'll see more clouds. Also on the breezy side, we've got those winds coming in from the north about 10 to as much as 15 miles per hour. So your planner today, I think we will try to warm up into the mid to upper 60s in most places. Some locations, if you see more sun, could reach around 70 degrees. Your rain chances over the next 5 days. We've got beautiful weather for Tuesday, Wednesday, and then that chance of rain starts to climb back up for Thursday and Friday. I'll have more on that and an early look at the weekend forecast coming up.
All right, Nathan, thank you so much. New at noon, the Little Rock Police Department sorting through the details of multiple weekend shootings. In all, 5 shootings, 6 injured, 1 dead. Take a look at your screen with these details. 1 shot on 18th, another person shot on South Monroe, 2 juveniles shot on Roosevelt, 1 man shot on 12th Street, and then 2 people shot on F Street where 1 person died. And in that last case, the woman accused of shooting her parents in Little Rock's Hillcrest neighborhood is expected to have her first court appearance this week. We first told you on Saturday when police arrested 46-year-old Corey Alexander. She's charged with 1 count of first-degree murder in the death of her father, 83-year-old Ray Alexander. She also faces first-degree battery of the shooting of her mother. That's 77-year-old Charlotte Alexander. Officers responded to that family's home on F Street around 10 a.m. on Saturday morning. The husband pronounced dead at the scene. Paramedics rushing the wife to the hospital. Last we heard, she was listed in critical condition. Up to Mayflower now, where a person is facing homicide charges. Officers took 27-year-old Damian Queen into custody on Saturday during a standoff involving the SWAT team that lasted several hours. Happened at Queen's Manor Apartments Saturday afternoon. Authorities say Queen is the suspect in the death of Rozelle Tennant. He was found dead from an apparent gunshot wound early Friday morning near Grassy Lake Road and Interstate Drive. In Fort Smith, body camera video is being released that shows an officer getting dragged by a car. You can see there Officer Ashley Breedlove talking to a man who drove through the scene of a hit-and-run investigation on Sunday morning. She reportedly asked him to shut off the vehicle. In the footage, Officer Breedlove reaches into the vehicle just before it takes off and knocks her to the ground. The report said she had minor injuries to her hip and hand from that fall. Officers arrested the driver for aggravated assault. Well, happening today, more military training at Camp Robinson could cause some loud booms for folks who live nearby. Weather could change things, but you don't want to mix it up for thunder. The training is still scheduled. The noise could cause some concerns if you live just beyond the borders of the post. It's expected to wrap up today. Now on to the ongoing crisis in Ukraine. America's top diplomats spent about 3 hours in Kyiv this weekend meeting with Ukraine's president and his top generals and diplomats. It's the first high-level American visit to that capital since the war began. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, the highest-ranking Americans to visit Ukraine since Russian forces invaded 2 months ago. The Americans told the Ukrainians they're pledging more than $700 million in new military and financial support. They also announced American diplomats diplomats will begin making day trips from Lviv in the west to Kyiv in order to reestablish a diplomatic presence in the capital. And they announced President Biden is nominating Bridget Brink, the current U.S. ambassador to Slovakia, to be the next ambassador to Ukraine.
They can win if they have the right equipment, the right support, and we're going to do everything we can, continue to do everything we can to ensure that that gets through. We want to see Russia weakened to the degree that it can't do the kinds of things that it has done in invading Ukraine.
Russia launched military strikes against 5 rail lines, 5 separate towns today. The U.S. and allies have used railways to supply Ukraine with weapons in the fight against Russia. The Supreme Court hearing arguments in one of the most important school prayer cases in more than a decade. It involves a football coach at a small-town public high school in Washington State and whether he can say a prayer at midfield after each game. The school district told him not to because it could look like it's endorsing religion. But as Jan Crawford reports, the coach says that violates his constitutional rights to express his religious beliefs.
It started just by myself, just saying a silent prayer by myself out on the 50-yard line.
For years, assistant football coach Joe Kennedy said a short prayer on the field after every game.
I would just take a knee and thank God.
But soon his players noticed.
After months, a couple of the players asked me, "Well, what are you doing out there, coach?" And I said, "I was just thanking God for what you guys did out there." And well, they said, "Can we join?" I said, "It's a free country."
You didn't ask them.
Oh, God,
you
no.
didn't say, "We're going to pray
No.
after the game."
No, the school is they have one rule in their policy that says you cannot encourage nor discourage kids in prayer.
The solitary prayer grew to a large huddle.
Was it in Jesus' name or was it more of a general prayer?
I would say in your name because we have kids of all different faiths.
A retired Marine, Kennedy says the on-field prayer is part of what he says is a covenant he made with God to give thanks. But some parents complained.
He is pressuring them to pray. Students, parents came forward and said so much.
The school district in this small town west of Seattle told him in a 2015 letter to stop. Rachel Lazar is head of Americans United for Separation of Church and State, which is supporting the school district.
The coaches are authority figures. Kids admire them. They want to please them. And that's why the courts have been so careful to protect the religious freedom of students.
This is about the game.
Kennedy temporarily stopped praying on the field, but then had a change of heart, prompting the district to later suspend him. He sued, and the case now sets the stage for a key Supreme Court ruling testing the bounds of the constitutional right to religious freedom. Kennedy says the school district is discriminating against him by prohibiting prayer. The school says it cannot allow the prayer because it would look like it endorsed it. A California-based federal appeals court sided with the district, saying Kennedy was not engaging in private prayer, but instead was engaging in public speech of an overtly religious nature. In the center of the field was students who felt pressured to join him.
Students can huddle all they want, and that's fine, and there's nothing coercive about it. It's when a teacher or a coach gets involved and pressures them, then it becomes coercive.
How should the court draw that line?
The line is prayer. If he wants to go pray on his own, that's fine, even when he's on duty.
That's where the big rub was. They're telling me where I can actually practice my faith, and everybody should be able to practice their faith.
Now, whatever the court decides could go well beyond the football field and set important rules for prayer in public schools. In recent years, conservative justices have signaled they think the pendulum has gone too far against religion and is amounting to almost hostility against prayer. Jan Crawford, CBS News, the Supreme Court.
Garth Brooks fans left with more than memories this weekend after packing Razorback Stadium to the brim. We relive the highlights and see some of the things you might have missed coming up next.
And as expected, the rain held off for the concert, then it moved in yesterday, especially across central Arkansas last night. Now the rain is moving out. Still a lot of clouds out there, but we will see the sunshine return. I'll let you know how warm the temperatures will get for the upcoming work week next.